Welcome. Today we're going to talk about the best plants you can keep with your goldfish tank. But if you're new here, all we do is talk about freshwater fish, yes, goldfish, yes, African cichlids, yes, community fish, yes, plants, all of that. That's all we do. So hit that subscribe button so you can stay informed with what we do. The first plant I want to talk about is the one you're going to see in this 800-gallon goldfish aquarium right behind me. That is the Crinum calamus. Now that's a mouthful, but there's a reason we like this plant. One, it kind of likes a little bit higher pH. It kind of likes a little bit of hardness. That's good because so do goldfish, right? It is a very, very slow grower with those leaves being very tough. Now, part of the problem we have with goldfish is they're like a cat. Oh, it'd be a shame if someone was to knock this off the counter. It'd be a shame if someone was to bite on this plant and tug at it all day long, every day, right? Well, goldfish are here to be a menace to us. That's why we love them. That's why we keep them. But we want some greenery in there too. So here's how we get around that. We basically have to anchor it down so they can't uproot it. So we have this big rock, but it's got a hole in it. Now you could use a lava rock. This happens to be a Texas holy rock. Whatever rock's got a hole in it. And all I did was I took this plant and I put it through the hole and I set it on top of the gravel. The roots grow out underneath and they can tug on it and tug on it and tug on it, but the rock makes it so they can't uproot the actual roots when it's a beginner plant. And then it just gets bigger and bigger and does its thing. And that's one of the keys there, is make sure they can't dig it up. Now, one of the good parts about goldfish is we love to spoil them and feed them so much they poop a lot, and all that poop is lots of nitrogen, and all that nitrogen is good for plants. So all the plants I'm recommending today don't have to have fertilizers. I don't put any fertilizer in here. It's just fish poop. Now, in other plant tanks, lots of fertilizer goes in because we don't have nearly the loads that we do in goldfish tanks. But the Crinum, it's an expensive plant, that $15 to $20 plant, but it is one of the few plants that's not a weed. A plant of this size, might take you 2 years to grow. Very slow grower, but very strong leaves, and that's what we want. So that's one of my first recommendations. Now, know when you're going to get it, it's going to look sad, it's going to be small. You're going to plant it, it's still going to, like, some of the leaves are going to melt back, but if you can keep it from getting disrupted, and that means getting uprooted, getting moved. If I move that plant over to there, it's going to get sad and die back for probably 2 or 3 months. And then it's going to come back with a vengeance with its big root structure. But just know that it's a long-term plant. It's like planting a tree. It doesn't just double in size tomorrow. That's a commitment for the rest of your life, basically, when you plant that tree. Kind of the same thing with this plant. Next up, we've got Anubias type plants. Now, I recommend the larger ones like barterai, barterai, golden coin, congensis. All of these ones are going to get to be bigger leaves and have thicker rhizomes. So the rhizome is where the leaves stick out. And the important part here is we can wedge those between rocks. We can glue the roots of it to rocks or wood, either of those. What we don't want to do is we don't want to put that down in the gravel because, one, it doesn't really want to be there. Two, it'll just get uprooted. We have to anchor it. Everything in here's got to be anchored. So we're just going to either tie it onto a rock or a piece of wood or super glue it or something. Get yourself those Anubias. Very slow grower. Think of it like the thickness of their leaves. Like if you've ever taken the husk off corn, that's how thick they are. Like, wow, this is a really thick leaf. And as opposed to like a tree leaf where you're like, oh, it's very fragile. This will be very thick and could take a beating. And that's why we want to use it in this aquarium. So Anubias, buy a few, tie them onto stuff, wait, hope for the best. There you go. Next, I would say moss balls. Moss balls are great because all you got to do is buy one, easily available, chuck it in there, and they'll kind of mouth it and kick it around. So it's almost like a little soccer ball to them. And if they never touch it, which would be weird, but if they never touch it, make sure you just like give it a kick every time you gravel vac or change water. You don't want it to like die on the one side. It's not getting any light, right? And all of these plants, except for this Crinum, are pretty much low light plants. The Crinum is kind of a medium light, but LED lights are getting so good nowadays that most tanks have enough light to grow Crinums as well. But if it's really looking sad, maybe it needs a little bit more light. You know, you are battling algae in a goldfish tank, but hopefully the plants are going to win that war for you. Now, next up, we've got Java fern. Java fern is just like Anubias, grows from a rhizome, different color leaf. I would say it's like a darker green and different shape, and just adds a little bit of variety, but you treat it all the same. Grab yourself some of those, tie it, glue it to a rock or a piece of wood, Put it in there, let it grow very slowly, and enjoy. The last one will be the bulbitis plant, the African fern. And again, it can take the pH, it can take the hardness, just like all these other plants we're talking about. Again, it likes to be tied or glued onto something. Could be a decoration, could be a castle. Doesn't have to be wood or rock. I just typically use natural things. And it's going to grow on a rhizome. It's going to have these crazy dark, like emerald green leaves and a weird texture shape to them that is enjoyable and adds depth. So, but that plant's kind of a little bit rare and harder to find. You know, like on our website, I think we sell it for 15 bucks, but it's out of stock a lot of the time. But get a little bit of that and get it going, and long term, you'll have this big, robust plant that can take a beating that hopefully doesn't have to. Eventually, goldfish realize they can't eat it and they give up. And one of the things you can also do is feed something with a little more plant matter in it or spirulina. That helps keep them quite from nibbling as much. But do know that we're basically putting toys in for our fish, and that yes, we want the plants to look good, but they're the primary thing. We're keeping these goldfish because we love them. We just want to see, you know, can you live? Like, oh, I have a cat. Like, can you live with a dog? Great, I get both. If not, well, cat was here first, cat stays type of deal. Hopefully those beginner like goldfish plants will help you. There's other stuff you can do, but it gets more and more advanced. Start with these. These are the quick, easy wins. And you'll have other people asking you, how do you keep goldfish and plants alive? That's amazing. I could never do it. So good luck. Check the description down below. Goodies like signing up for our blog. Our blog has new posts go out every single week that are all about freshwater. Like last week was lighting, and the week before was about disease. I think the week before that was about nanofish. And so you keep getting updated about topics. You don't have to read them all, but at some point you're going to want to do it all. So go ahead and make an account and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And hopefully we'll see you on a live stream and you can ask your questions directly to me.